So first, Chris, thank you for making it happen, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Should we tell the people how this finally came around after me asking you multiple times?
Let's do it.
So I put on YouTube on my last video, someone said, bring the podcast back. And I was commenting saying like, people comment below, etc. I'm going to leave a message for Chris because I know he reads the comments. And then a few days later, Chris sent me the screenshot of the comment saying, let's do it. And we found the perfect day to do it.
Yeah, I saw the comment. I was like, Josh, let's do it.
Yeah. So we should start with a little introduction about yourself because for many, they still don't know. The real name is not Chris Stussy.
Nah, my real name is actually Niels.
And how did the name Chris Stussy come around?
So my second name is Chris. So that's pretty easy. It's Christian. So took the first part of that. My last name is Steenbergen. Took the ST from it. And I was trying to find names. And then all of a sudden my friend, he was like saying, yeah, Jesus Christus. And I was like, yeah. In Dutch, we say Jezus Christus. So I was like, maybe I can use this kind of name as Christusy. And then we put a space in between Chris and Stussy. And that's how the name came about.
And it's so effective because it reads how it sounds. Whereas a lot of the Dutch names, like even me, when I read half these names in Dutch, like I never know how to pronounce them, etc. Whereas Chris Stussy, does what it says in the tin.
Yeah, I think when I had the name, I was like, okay, I can use this around if it's gonna happen, if we can tour. So.
And how many years ago was this, the initial Chris Stussy birth?
15 years ago.
15?
Yeah.
And how long ago was this after beginning to get into electronic music, DJing, production?
So you mean when I first started listening to it?
Yeah, and then when did you kind of transition from the hobby of, DJing for fun, making music for fun, and then actually coming up with this brand?
I was 15 when I actually started playing. So I wouldn't say professionally. Yeah. Professionally 10 years, but like going to clubs and going to festivals since I was 15. Because at the time, if you were 16, you could go like to these kind of little student parties and stuff. So that's what we always did. And I would say I was a DJ 3 or 4 years before I started making music. So that developed into it like pretty naturally, I would say.
And did you initially think when you started DJing and making music, this could be a career, or was it very much the curiosity and just kind of a hobby at the time?
No, I wanted to be a pro footballer actually.
Okay, and how did that come around? Like, how did you change from the football to the music?
So at some point, when I guess it's the same when you grow up and you get 16, 18, you feel like, okay, what am I doing? Do I really want to be a professional football player, or is the music just pursuing, like, growing onto me more than the other thing? I really love that, but it's like, okay, I had to. My mom came to me and she said, yeah, you have to make the decision. What do you really want? So I was at home then. And I was like, yeah, what do I really want? I don't know. And then at some day I was like, I can play a festival. It's called Strawberry Festival 2015. Prime time, 3 p.m. Or I play a football match at 2 p.m. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I waited till the last very moment of that week to just call my coach because I was so scared to tell him. But I think it's the best decision I've made to just go for what your gut is saying,
Yeah. So was it literally there and then a yes or a no, football or music that day?
Yeah. I think if you make a decision like that, you kind of make the decision for yourself.
And I think that commitment must have felt good then because you knew I'm all in on this music thing and we have to make it work.
Yeah, but at the time I wasn't gigging much. I had, like, let's say I had a residency in, like, at the beach, Noordwijk. Like I could play there every week and I would earn, like, let's say 75, 100 euros per week. And I could live from it. Like could buy decks at some point and buy a new laptop and stuff like that. So I was literally working for the gear, and yeah, with football, I've never really earned something, just a good experience, of course, but not in the way that we do it now.
And what age was this? 16, did you say?
Yeah. At 15, I was playing at Haarlem. It's at the time it was a professional football club. I would play against like Feyenoord, Ajax, and all the big teams, and then they fainted, so I had to leave again to an amateur club from Leiden, where I'm from. And yeah, at that point I was like, okay, it started with more parties, more, how it is. So
for everyone, I think a lot of people, they come from these sporting backgrounds, etc., discover this, and sometimes it's the partying which kind of cancels out the music, not necessarily thinking, I want to be a DJ, they kind of get sucked in by a lot of the partying and then say bye to the football and sports, etc.
Yeah, I'm not sure when you started, but for me it was like 16, 17 is when you really started going out.
Well, yeah, I think it was a similar age to me when I started. Like I was doing like cricket, football, but then your weekends would get consumed by the sports. But then it was like, okay, there's a rave on Friday night. And Seb Duffy from local dub, it's funny. He used to literally play football every Saturday, every Sunday, and he'd go and party all night, then go to these raves. Then eventually it's just like, this is fucking too much.
I did the same. I mean, when I was starting DJ, I had to play at the night.
Yeah.
And let's say Saturday afternoon football game, Saturday night you go out, and the Sunday team, they call you up at 11 a.m. in the morning. Hey, can you come to the second team? Yeah, sure, I'll go. Didn't sleep, came home at 5 a.m. and then you go to the football game again. But then you're 17, 18, everything is still doable. But yeah, when you're 25, 26,
catches up on you.
Yeah, you can't do it, man.
And he said your mum had some influence on that decision as well.
Yeah, I mean, she said to me like, you can't bet on two horses, basically. And then in Dutch, there's like this saying. Yeah, she was right, because you can't. I feel like if you really want something, you have to go for it. And yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, and I think the music we make now, or even what I got into in the early days, is still very niche. So how was it, how did it find you, this underground electronic music?
Basically at home, my mom and dad were listening to like trance, and like my mother was like, she always went to these aerobic kind of dance lessons. So she would listen to these kind of music as well. So at home, it was already there, but I'm not gonna say I was a little kid and dreaming of to be a DJ. No, that's not what I always dreamt of. But it's like it casually grown into something where I was like, okay, at 18, 19, my friends took me to a festival called Volt during King's Day, and that was more techno related though. But at some point, I then came across the Slapfunk parties. Went there with my friends. Utrecht at the time was huge.
Yeah.
We had a sick city where all the good parties were. And yeah, I guess from that point on, it was more underground based. Like, of course, when you find out, oh, what's this kind of record? Why are they playing vinyls? You start collecting vinyls yourself, and you go to see your favorite DJs. At the time, I was going a lot to like Brother, Samuel Deep, Benny Rodriguez. They were like the guys you wanted to see because they played the best music, Yeah. Of course, at some point, I came across Brunk. He took along with me, and I could join a lot of shows with him. And yeah, I could learn from him, like, how is he touring?
Yeah.
And how do I want to be touring? So yeah, at some point, you develop your sound by taste what you like to hear.
Yeah, this leads nicely to me wondering about how you got involved with the PIV Crew, because that also is how we first met.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Prunk, was it you going to see him DJ, or was it outside the dance floor that you met?
Actually, it was my birthday, and I was with two of my best friends. I guess it was 2015, 14, something like this. It was my birthday, and he was actually playing in an illegal party for a student party in like a basement, and he called one of my friends. We were literally in a bar drinking a cocktail at 12. It was my birthday, and then he just said, yeah, you want to come? I'm around the corner playing an illegal party. We're like, illegal party? What you on about? He was playing with the Sluwe Vos back to back. So he said, yeah, okay, let's go. And we went there. And it was so funny how he first met. Yeah, I know you already. I'm like, you know me already? So basically, my friends already told a little bit that I was a DJ. So a funny thing, I'm not sure how many people know this, but we were in the booth. And all of a sudden he said, yeah, I have to pee. Here you have my headphone. And I was like, what? Why does he give my headphone? But whatever, I was like standing and waiting 5 minutes to mix a track till the very end. I was like, okay, he meant like, oh, just take care of the decks, and take care of what's going on. And I was like, it's almost mixing. I have to loop it now. And, we're still playing on these old CDJ thousands at the time. So I was like, okay, just play a track. And I realized one track that he played from James Dexter. I was scrolling through.
Not even on USB, his USB.
I knew a few tracks of it. So I was like, okay, I played this James Dexter tune. And he came back and he said like, let's keep on playing together. I was like, what? This is not happening. And from there, we became good friends. I went to his house a lot, made a few tracks together. And yeah, then all of a sudden he said, hey, I've got this label that I want to do, and why don't you want to be the A&R of it? So that's where the friendship became like also a partnership. And from then on, fast forward, I think it was 2018, 19?
Oh, I think longer than that, you know, man. Maybe 2018,
19?
I think. 2018, I think.
When, like, PIV Limited was a vinyl-only concept that I actually was like my own little concept outside of the digital ones that we did. Yeah, I remember asking you for lots of music by the time. And of course, we did the EP, so that makes sense. We did like a party alongside it. So, do you remember that I picked you up?
Yeah, I was going to say this, guys. So Chris picked me up in his Ford Fiesta.
Yeah.
My first ever trip to Amsterdam. It's funny because I tell people this and they just can't like imagine it. Like Chris picked me up. It was your friend with the long hair. I remember at the time.
Fenno,
Yeah. Picked us up. We went to, I think we went past Leon's. That's where I met you. And like, I remember it really vividly. And was it Claire, the club?
Yeah, Claire.
Claire, yeah. It was on fire. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I ever played in Amsterdam. And that was off the back of like you reaching out to me.
Yeah.
We spoke a lot on Facebook. I sent you a lot of music. But I remember back then, the release took so long to come out.
Yeah.
Because even everything I did around then, it was like we were doing vinyl, right?
Yeah.
And I think like now vinyl has slowed down a lot. But it was always like you'd make a track and it would take so long for it to see the light of day.
1.5 years, I think.
I think more than that.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, because the guys at PIV told me in Miami recently, apparently you pressed 1,000 by accident. And that's how it ended up being the bestseller that year on Dex.de, DJ. Yeah,
but it's not me that I just sent 500. I think they accidentally.
Yeah, they did double. I think double the press.
Yeah,
and ended up selling out, which was like a happy thing because you did a remix as well of the release, right?
True. Yeah. So funny how this, because I remember you were saying, I don't know if I still feel the tracks, bro, and I was like, I called Bernie. He said, yeah, he wants to not do it anymore. I said like, okay, I'll call Josh again, and then I think eventually he said, okay, if it's not here in 3 months, then otherwise, and then eventually it came. But it's funny.
It's funny because I look back, them tracks now, I really like the tracks.
Yeah.
They were like made with hardware, the Minilog, etc. And I'm glad I put them out. It's like a good memory.
Do you still use it?
The Minilog, not so much, but I actually want to, behind the camera guys, who've got all my studio set up. Yeah. I want to streamline it again at some point because now I've kind of built up a lot of things.
Yeah.
And now I actually want to, set some limitations and work that way. But yeah, it's funny. So that's how we met through this thing. And something I think about a lot is, people always go to me, how do you network? How do you meet people? Like we just met all them years ago with no kind of idea that this would lead to this. And anyone listening now, any producers or any industry really, the guys that are at your level now that you become friends with, they're going to be the ones that grow with you and then become the next generation of artists or whatever industry it is.
Was that the first time we met at the airport?
I think that was the first time we ever met. I can't think of when we would have met before that.
But we were speaking
a lot
on Facebook,
for a long time.
Or SoundCloud.
I think Facebook DMs. I think Facebook direct message we spoke. But
that was the thing, yeah.
That's a thing of the past now. I think
no one is using
just my mum.
Just your mum.
Just me and my mum.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, so when you're in this A&R role, was this really important? Do you think for you growing as an artist, connecting with artists, and things like that?
Yeah, because you get the responsibility to connect other artists to at the time the label you work for. So it's like. Yeah, I'm like thinking in the chair of Prank and feel like, okay, what kind of music do I want to put out on the label? And I also feel. So at some point you feel like, okay, this artist and this artist can reach out to them and see if they maybe want to do like a release. And then of course you can say, hey, of course we also have a party, so we can maybe exchange a little bit. And that's how you work for these kind of things.
Yeah, and I think that role as well, it allows you to nurture upcoming artists and help them out as well. And that is something that you're now doing with the scholarship thing as well. So do you want to tell the guys about the scholarship and how that works? Yeah,
so I'm not sure if a lot of people know outside of the people that participated that I did a scholarship 3 months ago. You could sign up in the link on my website, and like it was free for anyone. So I asked for like a little playlist of like, let's say 2 or 3 tracks to describe your sound and like the diversity that you're like as a producer, and just tell where they live, what they do, what they want to become and stuff like that. So at some point, I think we had a selection of 20 people, and I must say the tracks that we all went through the level was already like super high. So it was really tough to come to let's say a top 20, a top 10, top 3. Eventually, there's a winner, a guy from San Francisco called Pedro Bolado. I already played some stuff from him, so I was surprised he actually also is so diverse than just that he's now famous of one track.
Yeah.
But he's like, I was like, wow, dude, how old are you? You have no following, you have no past releases, nothing. And I was like, this is so, heartwarming to give someone a place, because he already played a show with me in San Francisco. So that's part of the scholarship. Did like a headline show in San Francisco, and I said to my agent, like, yeah, why not? Let's invite him there, like give him some spots. And he's also playing in Chicago with me in Halloween. So yeah, for me, this like, I always wanted something like this to happen. And if you can give that to someone else, like as us, then it's like, the best feeling.
So is the goal to help them with their productions or their all-round brand, social media? Like, what's the main goal of it?
Now, the main part is, of course, the music.
Yeah.
It has to, how do you say this? It has to resonate with myself. But I can listen through someone and feel like, oh, wait, this is really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I've got some trancey stuff sent to me, like drum and bassy stuff as well. But it's like, it was proper quality. But then you have to think, okay, does it resonate with me in a way that I can help you as well? And that is a part where, you really need to think like, okay, this guy or girl or whatever is able to play before me as a warm-up, because that's important. And I said to Pedro as well, like, send me a podcast for scholarship, but make sure it's like a proper warm-up kind of vibe, because I want to know what you do. Yeah. And then he sent him, I was like, okay, like I told my agent, okay, he can warm up. It's proper. He's knowledge, So that's also important, that they also know, okay, wait, I'm not the headlining DJ, because for me, you get a lot of respect. When I enter a club, let's say we enter now in the Warehouse Project, and you hear the opening act and proper warm-up, you think like, oh, wait,
they know what they're doing.
Props. You get a props, and you take over from it. In the first track you play is a straight hands in the air track. You feel like, oh wait, but that's actually the openings act that made it possible, So for me, that's more important to get someone that has knowledge as well, like not just social media or stuff like that. It's not important for me, because of course it can be important for the person that's doing it, but it's not the main focus.
Yes, that Pedro track, you've been playing it a lot at the start of your sets, and I've noticed the hide and seek intro you did. This is not a test, and I saw someone comment the other day saying he's perfected this intro now, like over the months. Did you plan that intro for hide and seek, or was it like a spontaneous decision on the day?
It's funny, because I was actually trying before hide and seek. I was going, just finding for some acapellas. You know how it is. Sometimes I just hear the same acapellas in other sets too much. So I was like, okay, let me just go and dig for something that no one knows. And I found this one. I was like, have I heard this before? Yes, I have, but I'm not in recent time. So I was like, okay, this is an openings thing. So maybe it took a little long, but I actually loved it, because it took down a little bit of the energy from you and Ross. And then I could like build 3 hours, 3 hours. You
can't just slam it out for 3 hours.
I just don't want to do that. I want to play a banger, 3 like in between ones, and then a banger again. But this intro, I was like, okay, people are gonna know it, because once this little bassy mid sound comes in, it lifts up. I played it last year in Warehouse Project. Was like,
I was gonna say it was this time last year when I played there as well, and then I remember you played at the start, and the fucking room went crazy. Man.
Yeah. I don't know because the track is so simple.
It just got something about it.
It just resonates with the crowd. I don't know. It's so good for him.
Yeah. So those intros, do you tend to find yourself premeditating them, or sometimes you off the cuff find these acapellas on the USB, etc.? Or
I have like a map, like a folder of 120 acapellas or something. So I just go through them, and I know them already, like from start to finish. So I feel like sometimes I just need a vocal to fill up a little breakdown or whatever. But in this case, it's an intro, so of course you prepare it a little bit better than, let's say, your usual acapella that the people know. But with this thing, it's funny. Ever since I started playing it, people want it.
You almost like want it's part of the show now.
Yeah.
We spoke about this before, actually, that it's starting to become a bit of a show, and people want these moments. Even though you've seen it online, you want to experience the drop, the vocal when you're in the dance floor yourself.
Yeah. I mean, when I actually played it for the first time with the test one, now people think that's the title. That's the title. Well, it's not like it's track is actually called First Light, because it's its first EP. Yeah. So it made sense to name a track like that. So yeah.
And over time, your sound has definitely developed from what I would describe as more classic deep house to, I don't even know what we call this music anymore.
No.
Like just house music.
Just house, yeah.
Was it intentional moving away from this or very organic?
I mean, I still play everything.
Yeah.
I never moved away from like let's say the classical house, Kerry Chandler, Shea Damier kind of stuff. I still play it, but in a way that I now play my own tracks more and the labels tracks and tracks from friends. Like I just try to mix it, It's not like a formula that I'm following or something. It's just like, how am I feeling today? I might be feeling really dark and it just depends on how the DJ before us is playing and how you are playing with me, for example, today. It's like I bounce off that, and it's not like that I try to go somewhere. It's just how I'm feeling at the moment, actually. Yeah.
So when someone says to you, what is the Up the Stuss sound for the label, etc., what kind of music do you like? Is it really just a feeling for each release? Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the same for you, right? When you get a track and you get sent a promo, and even if it's not a demo,
right? You know straight away if it's the right one.
Bro, I start with the kick. I'm like, okay, wait. Let me just, I can already sense it. This is a track, And of course, maybe it's an established artist, but at some point, you just know this is quality. And for me, I don't look at the name. I just, when you close your eyes, you want to feel like, oh, wait, this resonates with me. This is me. I want to play this every set. And with that, for example, with that Pedro track, it just resonates with me. It's just, I don't know. It's just
feeling. Yeah. It's hard to describe when someone says like, I mentioned previously then about like this genre, this sound, like what it is now. I can't really describe. It's almost just like a feeling that these tracks create when you play them together.
Yeah.
Like they're good dance floor tunes, but still with some depth, etc.
Yeah, I mean, back in the days, everything was more minimal, was more simple. I played, bro. I was opening every show until, let's say, 2019. I was an opening DJ. I was playing 120 BPM, maximum 122. I made like super slow stuff, sample-based, like slow deep house. But at some point, you are growing into the second slot artist, to the third slot artist, and then you're closing sometimes, and then you come home and you feel like, I'm not going to make opening tracks now. I want to make a closing track. So at some point I was talking to my agent. He said, yeah, why didn't you make a closing track for this festival? And I was like, yeah, okay. Somewhere in the south of the Netherlands. And I was closing a festival. And he said, yeah, just make it and see how it goes. And at that point you feel like, okay, I was not really happy with it at the time, but you develop your sound from that, because it's not you just making opening tracks now. You make bangers and in between it's the way you feel, It's not I can't describe it anywhere in a different way. It's like how you feel. You make a happy track, and sometimes you make a really dark track. I think it's the same for you, right? Sometimes you want to make something with vocals, and sometimes you feel like, no vocals today, man. Dub vibes.
Yeah, and I think a goal for us all is to get them main slots, the big festivals, the big clubs, etc. And I think a thing that's helped me a lot, and I'm sure for you as well, is having the track of the night being your own track versus playing someone else's. And I think the whole unreleased thing helps a lot as well. As you've grown as an artist, have you found it to be very helpful having your own tracks being the biggest tunes of the night?
It's actually something really precious, because at first, when you make music, you don't think that your tracks would be the ones that they want to hear the most. But at the end, it makes sense, because when the people come to see you and they're coming to see Josh, they want to hear Bass Up to the Top.
Yeah.
And if they are going to see someone else, if you're going to see Bicep, you want to hear Glue. So it actually makes sense, because when you go to, let's say, you go to Justin Bieber, you want to hear those tracks that he made from his last album, and of course the hits. So that kind of resonates with me, and I think like, okay, I want to give this balance of new tracks, known stuff, and from friends and stuff. And of course, you are happy that people are actually screaming the lyrics and stuff like that. Of course, maybe they are all waiting for one track, and maybe they just want to hear the new songs. You don't know, because you don't know what anyone thinks in the crowd, because you can't see them talking.
Yeah, one thing I'm finding now is that I'm running out of time, because it's like I want to play some of the new ones, some of the ones they know, then there's some from other friends, but I know like my own tracks, really, that's what I should have pushed. How have you found that? Because obviously now you've got so many big tunes out. Yeah,
I mean, for me to make it interesting is to not overdo it. So I don't want to play like all night long every set.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't play it for 2 months. And some people are, they can't be like, Chris, you didn't play it. But then I just say, I don't want to play the same set last week to this week. For me, it's boring. If I have to go to work from 9 to 5 every day, it will be really boring. I'm at home. I just go out and be like, oh, wait, let me just make a little sketch. And then you make this track. It's funny because all night long, for example, I made it just in my hotel room. I had half an hour. And I was like, okay, before pickup to a dinner. And I was like, okay, let me just make this bass line. Do a little vocal with my iPhone speaker. And I did a little vocal, boom, that was it. Came back from the dinner and I finished the track, played it in Mint. So at some point you get into these kind of things really naturally. And I would say I'm happy that the people come for these kind of tracks. I still play them, but I just try to then make a different version. So for example, with Desire, I made it like a new version. And now the people want to hear that, maybe at home, I don't know, but still, that's what makes it exciting for me. Like little tweaks here and there makes it exciting to play.
Do you think All Night Long was the first tune which really, really blew up for you?
No, I think during the pandemic, I made an album with SAM, with Breather on.
The Breather one, yeah, huge
I think Breather was one of the ones that was different at the time. It's like proper deep house for me. With like chords and strings and like melodies I'm a sucker for melodies, so these kind of tracks, they really go down well. And yeah, I can not play for 6 months and then play it three times back to back, it's just the way you feel you play.
Yeah, I saw everyone going crazy when you played in Manchester because you played the Breather track then, right?
Yeah.
I saw everyone commenting saying he finally played it and he played it in Loft, etc.
Yeah.
And how was that, your little tour last year when you did London, Manchester, Leeds and Liverpool, was it?
Yeah, it was actually this year in April.
Okay, and how was that?
Insane, yeah. I mean, for me, my second home is, I think, the UK, because I go here so much that it only felt right to do something like this. We sold out everything so quickly. That was, for me, so overwhelming, because when you go to the party, when it's actually time, and then I had like this thing where we had like merch, and I would go to the queue and I would put on Twitter like, guys, the first 10, they get a t-shirt from me. And I went there and the queues were always like super long. And I was like, wow, actually everyone comes and just be so on time, because I also respect it, because the people that are opening for you, they get a crowd, and everyone, I really liked it from the UK that actually everyone is going so early.
Yeah.
They really, I don't know, it's just so appreciated.
People say the Brits get smashed quickly though. That's what everyone says.
Yeah, that's like maybe the little downside, but the good side is that they're early.
Yeah.
I mean, if I like it to play early.
Yeah.
I don't mind at all.
Well, it's nicer to get to bed early sometimes as well.
Yeah, it's perfect, yeah.
So this led you to do the new announcement from this week. So you've announced your first ever event series, Us.
Yeah.
What was the planning behind that, the thought process? When did you kind of decide to do this?
So actually it was in my head already for a few years, but it never felt right at the time. Like I was still doing really good shows, and I felt like I don't want to do it too early, because I feel like if you do things too early, it can then like cripple away a little bit. And I felt like now it was like, okay, I've done Creamfields and I've got Coachella and I've gone Tomorrowland. And I was like, okay, you've done like these kind of bigger shows. You've done all the like the side shows as well in every little city. And at some point it has to really from the inside feel like, okay, this is the timing. And then the branding part comes, like, okay, what do you name it? How you're going to brand like the whole thing? What are you going to do that makes you different for just putting... I don't want to put a logo there and that's the party, I want it to be like an experience. Like when you enter a club, and I think we all maybe think the same, it's like stroboscopes and everything goes quick. And then they say like, yeah, this 6 hours, it flew by like an hour.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like when I'm at home, I want to go back to like a mode where, I don't know, it's like a zone. And I want this feeling to be in the club. So not rushing, no stroboscopes and nothing too crazy, but like smooth transitions. And I really can see this working in the club. Like I haven't seen this before. So of course for us it's new, and we believe in the vision that we are bringing out. And yeah, I mean, the rest you're gonna see at the party. It's like something really, just that resonates with me, you know. So yeah,
So the
really
name,
excited.
I really like the name. It's cool. Simplicity, but
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's just part of Stuss, you know.
Yeah.
It's like Chris Stussy, up the Stuss,
Yeah.
remove the ST, you get us. So yeah, I actually also made a track with these kind of lyrics that you might have heard on the announcement.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. I thought it'd be
So
your
it was
track.
like a little cheeky one too.
Yeah. And the first one, London next year.
Yeah.
What made you choose London for one, and venue? I mean, I know all about trying to find the right venue for things, and it can be a nightmare.
Yeah.
How did you get what was your process of finding Roundhouse?
Good one. You know, London is actually, we were planning it. My last show was with Views.
It made the one we played. Yeah.
So we were like, okay, we can do ADE, but it was too short. Because I don't want to rush things, you know. For me, of course, we announced it. It's 1st of February in 25, but still, it's a long way. It's like 6 months from now, I think. So it's a long way out. But for me, it felt right to give it a little space as well. And Roundhouse, I have been there with my agent. He's also here. But we actually did a tour 2 years ago, I think. 2 years ago? Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And we actually did a tour. And ever since we were talking, when we are going to do an event, we're going to do it here. And
yeah, it's a nice venue.
Ever since we had the name, we were like, okay, let's just contact and see which dates they have available. So they had like December, but I felt like, let's just do it in the new year. You have something fresh, something new. January's done. Everyone has their dry January. 1st of Feb, boom, you come with a new kind of concept.
It's a good party day, man. The Brits go crazy on that day.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, I think for us, it felt really good to do it in London. I mean, we could do it in Amsterdam, we could do it in Manchester or wherever else, but just felt like good. London is a good spot then, and then now we are on the background working on like the next dates for it.
And in terms of lineups, what's the plan there?
So actually, you know what I always like is that you get surprised by a lineup, because nowadays people just want to see the same names, and I sometimes see like, oh yeah, it's always the same lineup, and that also reflects on me and think like, okay, you want to do something that's a little different from everyone else. So my music taste is pretty wide. So we're not announcing the lineup yet because I think when this is coming online, it's still not live. It would be friends, stuff that people don't expect, because that's what I like. You know, I like to be surprised. Also in DJ sets, you know, like if a DJ really like, wow, this person like was so intrigued by their sound and how they DJ, and it's like that's what I want on my party as well. So just not the usual stuff, but expect something different.
Try and educate people as well as entertain them. That's the thing I always come back to.
Because I think what, like back in the days when you started your You and Me parties, like the lineups were quite unknown.
Always different, man.
Always
We were always trying to book people who were up and coming. But to be fair, funnily enough, like we're playing Warehouse Project today, a lot of the bigger artists are playing there.
Yeah.
So like we had this problem of how can we find artists that sell tickets to help the brand grow, but then also we can afford them and they're not playing other places. So we really had to kind of, you know, navigate ourselves through the weeds.
But I think that's
then.
the thing. You have to navigate in between the underground, what you really like and where your roots are.
Yeah.
In between who is selling a ticket.
Exactly.
But at some point you're like, okay, would you rather have a, like, let's say you have a 1,000 cap party, you have 800 people that is really resonating with the lineup, or 1,000 that are like half of them, they don't know what's been played. Like for me, it's like in
it's always
between
that balancing
there.
Act. It's hard, that balancing act's so hard.
At some point you find it, because now, for example, you are yourself selling tickets, so you can like invite a tougher artist as well.
Yeah, it's like I've done for my tour. We sold that all out with just my name, and then I'm inviting, you know, like people that are upcoming in different cities, and then some other curveball artists that, you know, wouldn't typically play with me on a lineup now when you play these big room events, but they're like insane DJs, and now maybe a Josh Baker ticket buyer may not know them, but I know when they come, they'll leave going, that was so sick.
I think that's the maybe some people don't really see that, and when they want to go to an event, for example, like today, they want to see acts. But if you're also open to see new acts, you actually get surprised so much. Like, oh, I never knew they were playing like that, or he was playing like this. And that's for me so important to go back to, and like don't announce like a timetable. Just go to the event. Doors are shutting down 5 p.m. Come early.
Is that one thing you'll do for your event? No timetable?
No timetable, yeah.
And what other cities are you thinking? And what's the cadence of events? Are you going to try go monthly or just a few throughout the year?
I would say a few. I don't want to like bash them out. No, I just want to do like the good cities. Like I'm not saying if you don't do a party at another city, there's no other good cities. But for me, it's like Amsterdam, London, New York, LA, stuff like that could work. And of course, there are many others. Barcelona is also a really good market. And I mean, it just has to feel right. If we can do the production there at a club and it feels right, then we would go there.
Yeah.
And if we couldn't do the production there, I'm not doing the event there. So for me, it's not about every month party. No, for me, it's like if I can do 3, maximum 4 parties a year, then I think I'm really happy.
Nice. So I saw last weekend, I think you did 5 shows, and I saw you got in the studio again this week. How are you finding the increasingly busy touring schedule, along with still trying to create music and balance everything?
I mean, for me, touring, it's so easy. Of course, you deal with like delays and stuff like that, and that sometimes irritates me. But in a way of touring, I like to have the balance. You know, when I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah.
And I can do nothing at home. Literally, I just sit there, chilling on my couch. I don't care. I just go through promos, emails, just relax.
That's not nothing.
No, I mean, but it doesn't feel like work for me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you feel about it, but it's like for me, going through this kind of emails and just relax at home. Like I go to the grocery store, cook for the night. Like that makes me relaxed. And then the studio comes. I don't go there every week.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't go for 3 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw Fortet talking about this, which was interesting. They said to him similar thing, like, how do you make so much music and all this kind of stuff? And he just said, some days I open my laptop. If anything happens, it happens. Like, there's no pressure whatsoever on the process of, you know, turning up to work and grinding out a day in the studio.
Yeah, I mean, bro, my best tracks I made on my kitchen table.
So do you think there's something to be said for just really setting no expectations on what you do and just going with the flow?
I made my new track, Won't Stop, Don't Stop, the one that people are asking for now. I made it on my kitchen table in maybe an hour, just by going through samples, finding the right, you know, at some point you're like, I would say you're sound designing. So when I was making like a synth chord progression, I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden an hour later, I made a half of the track. And then after the dinner, you finished it. So it's like, I can go to the studio and make absolute crap, come back home and feel like, what have I done?
Yeah.
I would rather stay home and be like going to promos and like, oh, wait, this is sick. I'm going to try this in a different way. And then I'm on my kitchen table doing it so quickly because it's just I don't know how you say it in English, but it's just a moment where it clicks.
Inspiration's there and it all comes together.
Instead of forcing it.
Yeah.
Sitting there and and now I'm in my studio. I have to do it something.
Interesting because
it doesn't work.
Like there is that side of it of like, you know, always showing up, you know, grinding, doing the work, be in the studio.
I mean, I do that. Always showing up. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Like there's never a day that I do not open my laptop and listen to music. Something. I always listen. Like for you, I can see you always go for a run.
Yeah.
Like that's the one for you where you feel like, I think.
It doesn't take, I think there's a thing of like, it doesn't actually take any effort to do because you're built in the discipline and the habit of doing it. It's just kind of just, you know, making music is just part of the flow of, like, it doesn't take any brain effort to go and do so.
But you live here close by or?
Yeah, 10 minutes. But, you know, the problem with this is it's 15 minutes away from my home. Yeah. I found that when I first got this, the first 2 weeks, I was like, oh, this is so cool, drive to the studio. Now I'm like, fuck, I've got to drive to the studio. So I think there's something to be said that I've tried to start getting used to making music on my laptop because my old studio was literally at home. So I could just go in, kind of what you said, just chill, fuck around a bit.
Yeah.
Whereas if I come in now, I go to the shop, get the coffee, get the water, you know, bring the fucking lunch, sit there, and then I just go like, oh.
Yeah. Sometimes you feel like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Whereas like if you create a more relaxed environment, you know, if at home there's no effort to do it, there's nothing to lose almost. And sometimes that's the best approach because you're just going with the flow, chilling, relaxing.
And I must say, so I mean, I did some like getaways with Locally together as Across Boundaries. We made like 3 full EPs in 3 times that we did it. Yeah. And last week I went actually on my own for the first time 5 days, I made 6 tracks. So
And how was that? Did you enjoy that kind of process?
insane by
Yeah.
myself. It was just, I don't know. I can be by myself really good. So for me, it doesn't get awkward or something. I don't need to be entertained.
Yeah.
I just sit there. I feel like, okay, doesn't work now. I'll go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You come back,
Being chill with it.
still doesn't feel good. Okay,
Yeah.
let me make a breakfast or whatever. And then at some point, you grab your laptop out of the equation and you just sit there on the table again. You make a little idea and then you're like, oh wait, okay, now I've got something. And then you go to the setup again. And then, I don't know, it just naturally flows with me.
I think the fortunate thing we've got a lot of time in the week, if we've got all day, whereas other people, if they've got after work. Because I remember I used to have this thing, I've said this on a podcast before, I'd like go in the shower and tell myself, it's one tune, just make the fucking one tune. Like the one that goes viral. But in reality, you've got to get pretty lucky to have one tune that does it all.
But do the people, sorry that I interrupt, but do the people actually know how you got there? That you have
for
the
sure.
time
There's
off,
so
right?
many there's so many things that go into that. But I think what's hard is like with this relaxed approach, if you've only got 2 hours after work, it can get frustrating. Whereas, if you have this thing of like, I can relax, etc. So I can get why, like, if some people are like, I've only got like 2 hours a night or
But you can make it really simple actually, as when you for example, what worked for me is I was home before I went on to the getaway, and I actually made a few beat loops. So just to make the process quicker when I was there, I was like, okay, I want to start something new. And I already had a full loop fully created. And I was like, okay, wow, this works. And then you are bashing the synths out so quickly. And I was like, instant flow. Because that helps for me. Also, a little bit of preparation. With Locally, we did the same. Like, so I said to him, okay, prepare for a few drum loops. I'll find a few samples and a few vocals. Like, that's how we made Keep It Pumping. I was going through sample packs and I made like a little, like, how do you say, selection of things that I liked. And then we went through them together. It was like, oh, I like this one. Boom. And we drag it in. And then, I like this as well. So I don't know, you just gather things that, I don't know if it works for everyone, but it definitely worked for me.
Yeah, me and Prosper did a similar thing. We went back and forth with a project. Like I started a little loop, they put some chords on it, sent it back to me. Then we met together, we arranged it, then had a vocalist in. And I think a tip there for anyone is just break the process down into different parts. Like spend one night just making kick, clap, and hat grooves. And the next night, spend some time just writing some hooks. And then not putting too much pressure on trying to create a full #1 hit in one session.
I mean, that's the thing as well, right? Do you need to make it in a day? For some people, like I made lots of music with Coulter, and he always said, I want to finish it on the day. And that's just the thing that he likes, and that's fine. But it's like, for me, that wouldn't work. I would like sit out for a bit. Of course, I make lots of ideas, and in the end, I would like scrap half of it. I think, this is shit. This is decent. Can perfect it maybe a little bit more. And I don't know. Nothing is perfect, but that's the beauty of our music. Like sometimes the mistakes make like the best tracks. Sometimes you go through a sample, you feel like, oh shit, what was the sample? I clicked again. And then you accidentally click on a good preset, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is insane. And of course, that's our music, it just comes by accident sometimes.
And in terms of the amount of music you do make, how much do you find you release these days compared to how much just stays in the folder?
Yeah, people, I don't know. Like I have so much stuff, but I don't know. I don't want to put everything out. It has to feel right. Of course, I can release a bit more, and I will. Like I have, actually, I confirmed the Moby Go.
No way.
Edit that I did is
Congrats,
actually going to be an official remix.
Wow, that's cool.
So that's coming soon. Then my next EP is ready for, I don't know, and soon. And of course, I have so much stuff, but some tunes you just don't put out.
Are you happy just to take your time with it?
Yeah.
And what's who's it by again? The Education edit.
That's my edit.
Yeah,
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, Pink Floyd. What's the chances of getting that over the line, do you think?
We haven't tried it, It's just like my agent sends me sometimes some tracks and to edit.
Yeah.
And I actually made this track on my kitchen table again. Like I was just jamming around, and it's not that I make an edit to then think, okay, I have to release it.
It's a tool to play in the club.
So yeah, I don't know. For me, I don't feel the pressure to release as much as I had when I started. You know, when let's say 2018, 19, I wanted to have every 3 months consistency to have a release. And at some point I feel like, okay, it's fine if I don't have this consistency anymore, because it can be overkill. You know, there's so much music out every day that it also feels good for me to step back and feel like, okay,
Just chill.
yeah,
Well, it's funny because I've done the opposite recently. I put out a lot of music.
but that's good.
Yeah. I think right now for me, it feels like a really good time I'm on a bit of a roll, like get the music out there, because even when I look at like Spotify, my music's always evolving. So like I feel like I need to get more music that represents where I'm at now for the world to listen to.
Yeah, but I also think it's good for your in the time that you are now in your career.
Yeah.
It's really normal, because I also did it.
It helps, man, for sure.
When you have this one track that really goes off in your playlist and in your sets, you feel like, okay, but why should I not put something
More of
out
these.
to like 2 months later?
Yeah.
Why not? Like, there's no rules. You
Yeah.
can release as much, but after that you think like, is it really worth it? And sometimes you feel like, okay, I can sit on my music a bit more. It's just how you feel, you know. There's no formula.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because Bass at the Top came out yesterday, and
Congrats.
that only came out because
Big
of
one.
you.
Really?
You saw the TikTok. You sent me a TikTok of me saying, "Can you send me this track?" And what happened was, I made
Oh
this.
yeah, I remember that was here in
Yeah,
studio,
yeah. I
right?
made this drum groove, found this bass vocal, put it on TikTok, and someone commented saying, "All your tunes sound the same. You need to do something else." So I was like, "Oh, maybe he's right. I suck." So I
Yeah.
was like, "I'm never finishing this track."
Because it was a few months old, right? I just
Been there for months.
randomly I was scrolling through my For Your page, and I was like, bass up to the top. What the fuck is this tune? Like,
Yeah.
just send this to me,
So he
mate.
sent it to me, and I was like, "Okay, I need to get that shit finished," because he said he was going to Unum to play with Slap Funk.
Yeah,
So I basically just sketched out to beats and bass like 5 minutes.
yeah.
Then I played at Part Live, and the room just went crazy, and I was like, "Shit."
I opened with this track for at least 20 times, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Straight.
And then I knew. Then I was like, "Okay, this tune's good." Finished it. Obviously, you played it loads. Then people started to ask me for it, and then labels, and we got the sample cleared. It's a Dutch record from like the 2000s.
Oh, funny.
They found him. It was one of them where I was like, I could have probably put it out and risked it without clearing the sample. I didn't really know, but anyway, we cleared it, and I guess the rest is history. But it's funny because that would have just sat on TikTok forever, I think.
Yeah, but I think like at some point, you have your sound, you know. So I think
It should sound similar, right? But then it's
Yeah.
like, I think I understand some of the tunes sound similar, like they've got similar drums, similar bass sound.
Yeah,
But like I made the YouTube video, which you saw, like imagine working all this time to achieve your own sound,
Yeah.
to then say, you know what, sack this, let's start
Yeah.
again and do something completely
I
different.
mean, you have to be how you say this, critical to yourself and feel like, okay, now I have to really
Step
change
the
it up a
game,
little
You
bit,
feel like
you know?
you want to step the thing up, but also you don't want to kind of sacrifice what could be created in the present just for the sake of trying to seem like you've reinvented
Yeah.
the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. Because at some point when I use some sounds too often,
You know deep down, but like if it resonates with people, at the end of the day, like if it all sounded so similar, no one would want to hear the next track. Like
No.
people are still listening then. I don't think it's that deep. That's the kind of phrase I've used recently.
yeah, it's just that people like have to say something, right? It's not that, as you say, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So touring wise, one thing I want to ask you is about your team, not just the touring life,
Yeah.
but at the moment, who you're working with in terms of your agent, tour manager, because I myself am going with a few people now. What's your view on that whole setup? Because I think you were one of the first people in our over the scene to start traveling with someone taking videos, etc., all your gigs.
Yeah, I think for me it felt natural to do. And at first I actually started with a photographer, a videographer. And yeah, we really hit up from the first time we were like actually doing something. Was like, okay, this works. And of course you have to see it on tour how it actually is, and you have to accept that someone might be different than you know, because
Yeah.
that's also an acceptance you have to have. Like, I can't be in the room with someone that's always like doing something. I have to chill at some point, you know, like hotel room is chill.
Yeah,
And if we want to do something,
we're gonna do something.
do your own thing. If I want to chill, I'm going to chill. I'm going to tell you, Josh, you want to have a dinner? No, I'm going to chill. Sorry. Like, it's nothing personal, but it's just like when you tour as much as we do, you have to balance it out. And I like to work with the same people. Like my friend's crew is from 10 years ago.
Yeah,
they all come to my shows. It's the same people. Like, I think you're the same.
I think we mirror each other in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, your agent Nick, you've been friends for a long time, I'm guessing. My manager Kurt, like, we go back over 10 years as well.
Yeah, I worked with Nick for 10 years,
Yeah.
so I haven't worked with a different agent. So yeah, for me, like, that's trust is a good thing, and yeah, you trust someone at some point. You feel like, okay,
sure.
you know where we came from because you were there when I first started. So it's quite, it's not normal anymore these days, but for me, it feels normal that the people around me, they know how I am, and I know how they are. And with a tour manager, it's the same thing. Of course, when you start with someone for the first time, you feel like, okay, is this gonna work? And then after some months, because you have to be honest with each other, you can say like, yeah, I don't like it when you do this, but I like it when you do this. You know, you can perfect it, and at some point, you know, I think it takes 3 months, and then you feel like, okay, this can work for a few years. And you don't have a tour manager, right?
No, so Video is my brother.
Yeah.
So he literally just got a camera last year. I said, right, let's figure this shit out, man.
Yeah.
Then he invested in a proper camera. And over time, just a matter of back and forth feedback, saying, I like this, don't do this. Even now, every gig, DC10 the other night, I was like, I like this, I like that.
Yeah.
This one, you could have gone like quicker like this. Because I think it's
So
hard.
you do the selection?
I do the selection.
Yeah, me too.
I go straight away from the gig, usually
SD card.
straight away, SD card, laptop, go through them, and I just like rename it, edit.
Ah, okay.
And then
I color them.
Yeah, so it just saves saves back and forth, right? And then like I try and get everything turned around pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we've got Jake every gig, and then Murray, that you met before.
Yeah.
So he was taking photos anyway. So I'm now saying to him, like, if there's a weekend worth doing, like today, we did DC on Thursday, he's going to come to that as well. And it's interesting. I feel like pictures are the new video again. I feel like it's gone like reverse. I think you beat me to it, but like I feel like pictures are so powerful now. And
I don't know. I don't follow anything Formula or anything. So
yeah, I don't really have like a thing, but I just feel like pictures on social media, like they're just really like powerful. When I see them, like I'm really interested to see when people put up images. But yeah, so them two come with me. Ideally, Murray would pick up more of a tour manager role, but he's only just started like traveling, etc. Like that. So I mean, over time you can maybe do that, but
yeah, I mean, as long as you guys are like open with each other and you can be like,
I'm tour managing them at the moment. It's more work for me. Like we're trying to find a fucking platform at a station, and I'm the one looking. Them two with the cameras just looking.
I mean,
around.
you can give it out of hands. You can give it to someone else.
Yeah, I know. But at the moment, I think three's a cool number. Then Kurt comes to a few. I think he's glad summer's over soon.
Yeah,
because it's like every the Ibiza gigs in the week. Like they seriously like disrupt the week.
Yeah, but I think it's good, like for you as an artist to have a crew and to come somewhere not by yourself. Of course, you can do it, but it's a different. I don't know.
It makes more fun, and more, when you look back, I think we're going to enjoy the fact we got to share these memories with friends. Because even when I look back 1 year ago, 2 years ago, like them memories compared to now are just like so cool to talk about and reflect on. I can only imagine what it's going to be like in 5 years talking about like today.
Yeah, that's true, and also because when you have other people doing stuff for you. Like your brother is filming and Murray is doing photos. You are doing the social media. Like I'm doing everything by myself. So it's like, it's not that you want to control it, but it's also to give away like a task. It's also good for your business because that's why you have a manager.
Yeah.
If you want to do everything by yourself, it will never get you to the point where you are now, you know, because you give out.
Yeah, I think the phrase, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
Which like with this shit, you can do things fast if you just, do all yourself, blah, blah, blah. But with a team, you may spend more in the short term, etc. But
you can focus on music.
Yeah,
I can focus on music. And if I go on tour, I know everything is arranged. I just have to show up. Like I pick everyone up with the car and we park the car and we go in the plane. You checked in, this kind of stuff. It's not disturbing, but you have to do them.
Yeah.
Check in. Okay, shit.
That's the fucking headache.
Yeah, well, every time I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm there before the gate. I'm like, oh shit, I need to get my boarding pass.
Yeah.
Because it also relieves some, I wouldn't say pressure, but it's this kind of feeling that you feel like, oh, someone is taking care of it. Like, okay, the bookings are done, like everything is arranged and the hotels are good, and you just come there and I can just focus on music, make little sketches on the road, and just don't think about all the stuff around it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So we are pushed for time today as we're off to play our back-to-back. It's worth asking, how do you prepare for back-to-backs different to normal ones, if you do? Or is it really just going with the flow from the other gigs?
For this one, I just know what you play.
Yeah,
I just know your sound. So for me, I actually like it because now we have 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like we can go on a journey a bit more than if we would have 90 minutes.
Just the big hit. It's gonna have to be the big hits from you. Big hits from me. It's 90
I mean,
minutes.
like, I like it when not just specifically this one, but I like it when someone really surprises me. Like, whoa. For example, when I play with Wesley under Across Boundaries, and we don't play all these tracks because we want to approach a different kind of sound, and then I don't know, it creates this kind of like shit. This guy, he
pushes you. I think
he digged me out.
The loft was a good one that time. Like unintentionally, we did play back to back in the loft for an after party, which was fucking legendary. I feel like all three of us were really pushing each other to go harder.
Yeah.
Not even harder, just just really interesting tunes.
I didn't play one track that I would normally play
we
on
all
like
played
a warehouse project.
different stuff that night. It was good.
And that's what I like when you don't do the expected, but get the unexpected.
Yeah, but it's like, hard when you play these big ones because there is that element of like today. I don't know how many capacity is today, but it's a big one.
Which circus?
Yeah, I think it's big.
It's 8K.
Yeah, exactly. So when it's like you have
similar, it's the same venue as the depot. So we are doing a similar show, just for different people.
There's got to be a level of like what they expect, but we definitely want to try and give them some unexpected as well.
I have something unexpected for today as well, so that's good.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think that's a wrap, guys.
Thanks,
brother. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, man.